Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new, and welcome to another reading vlog. So the plan for this vlog is to hopefully get through quite a few books. If you follow me on Instagram, you may have seen that last week I actually watched the Lord of the Rings films for the first time, which I know it's a sin that it's taking me this long to do it, but I was absolutely obsessed, and now I'm making it my mission to read the books because there's nothing I want more than to be completely engrossed in that world. So I have actually started The Hobbit. I am starting off with The Hobbit and then I'm going to read the rest of the books in the series. I am reading them all on my Kindle, so I don't have the books to show you, but I will of course put a little image on the screen somewhere. I've only watched the first two films, so I've still got the third one to watch, but I do really want to start the series Rings of Power, so I'm planning to finish the films this week or next and then start on the series, but also read the books just for like a little bit of extra context. As soon as I finished the second film, I was like, do you know what, I need to read these, so I went straight on Kindle Unlimited, and lo and behold, all the books are on Kindle Unlimited, so I straight away downloaded them, and I have already started The Hobbit. I started it last night, I believe, so I am currently 34% of the way through. The Hobbit is definitely on the shorter side, and also I've been told since is definitely written for a younger audience, which I can absolutely see. As soon as I started reading it, I was like, this is so easy to read. I was really expecting it to be very difficult, like very sort of densely written, but it does read more of like a children's story almost. I'm absolutely loving it. Like, the writing is so like whimsical, it's full of humour, it's so charming. I am laughing out loud at some of the wit in this. I have seen the 3 Hobbit films, but I watched them all when they came out, and I looked it up and the films actually came out so freaking long ago, so I don't actually remember too much about them. As I read it, I'm remembering everything that has happened, but I used to always think, how on earth did they make 3 films out of the shortest book? But now I totally see why, because yes, this book is only like, I think it's less than 300 pages on the Kindle, but because it's written for a younger audience, a lot of this, well, every scene really is more sort of like glossed over. Like, it's all quite fast paced, there's not like huge amounts of detail or anything like that, so it could be quite a big scene but it's over in a matter of a few pages. So I could totally see now how in the films they were able to elongate that and make the scenes longer. It's definitely not detracting from my enjoyment of the book, because that's definitely how it's supposed to be written. It's just very interesting, obviously, the differences. I also love the narrator in this. Like, I don't know if we're supposed to know who the narrator is or if they're just a sort of like omniscient person, but it's really cute how they narrate it, because like I said, it's very charming, whimsical, there's a lot of wit or just like simple humour, but also it is very clear that the writer is very fond of Bilbo and the other characters. Just the way that I want to say he, but he or she talks about the characters, it's clear like they care for the characters a lot, and it's just such a nice effect to read that. If you have not read or seen The Hobbit, we are basically following this group of characters. We've got Bilbo Baggins, who is a hobbit, and he is very happy living his simple life with no adventure in it. He actually actively stays away from adventure, and then Gandalf, this wizard, shows up on his door and is like, you're going on an adventure, hun? And then he's like, well, no, I'm not, like, leave me alone. The wizard leaves, and then I don't know if it's the next day or later that night, all these dwarves start showing up at the door, just inviting themselves in. Next thing you know, Bilbo's making supper for like a whole host of dwarves and Gandalf the wizard, and he's being whisked away on an adventure to go and reclaim some treasure in like a distant mountain that a dragon is currently holding, hoarding, watching over, because apparently the dragons like nice shiny things. They're kind of like magpies in this world. So now they're off on a big adventure to go and reclaim this treasure that supposedly belongs to the dwarves. That is the basic gist of it. All Hobbit and Lord of the Rings stans are going to absolutely eat me alive right now, but I swear that is the gist. I also really like how the narrator like talks to you, the reader, as if it's almost like you're like sitting around a campfire listening to someone tell you the story, or you're sitting in one of the nice little cozy inns in the story with the rain pouring outside. You've got a nice cold beer and like this big, what are they called? I don't know, the big cup jug things that they put beer in. You've got one of those and you're listening to this guy like tell you this story. That's what it feels like. The narrator is actually talking to you, telling you the story orally almost. Also, the dwarves like to sing, and the author actually writes their songs in it. Sometimes it's just super cute and they're just literally like singing about what they're doing or what they're thinking, and other times it's like properly beautiful magical songs about their past and their history, and I just love that part of the story. I've actually been told I probably should listen to the audiobook, because because the audiobook's amazing and they actually sing the songs that are in this, so I definitely probably will check that out at some point. But yeah, just absolutely loving this so far. I'm 34% of the way through, so I'm hoping to finish this soon. Fingers crossed. It is Thursday right now. I'm really hoping by Sunday I can get through a couple of the books. We will see. You all know what I'm like at this point, but I really like to get through the series. At this current moment, however, it is dinner time. I've just finished work, so I'm going to go ahead, get myself some dinner, and then hopefully settle down to read more of The Hobbit. Alright guys, it is quite a bit later on now. I have just been lying here reading some more of The Hobbit for about an hour or so, I think. So I'm now on 57%. I'm past the halfway mark and I am absolutely loving this book. Like, it is just such a nice cozy read. It's so fast paced, like constant adventure, just going from one crazy obstacle to the next. It's just so much fun, so easy to just get lost in. Absolutely loving it. Bilbo himself at first was so freaking useless. Like, when they first start their adventure, I'm like, why is this dude even on this expedition? Like, he brings nothing to the table. Obviously Gandalf knows all and he said that he was gonna like have his juices or whatever, but at first they're literally having to like carry him everywhere. He keeps like getting himself into trouble, getting left behind. I was just like, come on Bilbo, like have something about you, hun. But he has started to develop more in like the last 10-20% or so. Like, he's beginning to sort of grow in his little hobbit self, actually show some use and show to be actually quite clever and agile. So I'm really loving his like growth as a character and him sort of like, he's on a little journey of like self-discovery as well, and I'm really enjoying that. I'm just loving this whole journey in general. Like, just as we go, we're like going through these mountains, along through these forests, and we just keep meeting different characters and different creatures along the way, each with their own stories, their own personalities. One of my favourite characters so far has like a whole family of animals. Like, he is a man who could turn into a bear, but he has all these animals who like wait on him, and when they were getting ready for dinner, all these animals all like came in with like tables and plates and cutlery and stuff all on their backs, and they all like set it up and like waited on all the dwarves while they had their dinner, which I just thought was so freaking cute. Like, the way that Tolkien described it, I was just like, this is like the most cute little woodland event ever. And it also, the narrator also said that that guy loves his animals as his children, which is just a whole freaking mood, to be honest. Also, I just love the fact that goblins ride on the back of wolves. Like, there's something just so cool about that. The whole like writing in general, like I said, is just so magical and whimsical. I love all the names for different places. Like, we've got Mirkwood, we've got the Lonely Mountain. It's just all so magical and charming. Gandalf himself, such a cool dude. Like, he just knows all. He's just so like calm and collected and civilized, and he just like knows everything. He never gets like stressed or anxious or anything. And like, while the dwarves and Bilbo are on this whole journey, he just sort of like pops in and out because he's got little bits of business to do with other people, but then he meets them later on in the journey. Like, he's just so cool. Also, I freaking love elves. Like, I swear they are the coolest things in the world. I want to be a wood elf. They're so cool. Like, I literally just texted my boyfriend to say I've decided I want to be a wood elf. Like, I didn't really think that was a sentence I would ever text anyone in my life, but apparently it's a thing now. So yeah, basically absolutely loving this. Like I said, what did I say? I'm on 57%, so I am gonna lie here and read a little bit more. I think it's like 10 to 10, so I could probably read for like another hour or so before I take myself off to sleep. Hopefully get through another little chunk and then definitely finish this one tomorrow, fingers crossed. But yeah, just now I'm gonna go ahead, get this makeup off my face, get myself all cozy in bed and read some more of The Hobbit. Alrighty guys, what a morning slash night I have had. Last night I attempted to edit a Patreon vlog for last month's Patreon pick. I then also planned to this morning edit a video to go up on my channel this evening. However, last night my editing software was not working. I thought maybe it's because my laptop needed an update, so I went to update my laptop, and for some reason the internet was being atrocious. It said the update was going to take like 9 hours. So I had to leave that on overnight to update. This morning, once it had done, I went to go use my editing software. It still was not working. I then decided to try and download a different editing software and see if that would make any sort of difference. That software took over an hour to download. By the time it had downloaded, my original software started working again. So it has not been a fun time and no videos have been edited yet, which means I'm very behind on what my plan was for this weekend. However, during all that time, I did manage to finish The Hobbit. So I ended up giving this one 4 out of 5 stars. I absolutely loved it. As I said before, it's just such a good, whimsical, charming, funny journey that you're taken on throughout this book. I really did love watching Bilbo change, adapt, self-discover throughout this novel, and I really loved seeing who he was at the beginning and who he turned out to be at the end, and the fact that Gandalf knew he had that in him the entire time and it was just up to himself to bring that out. I did find it funny how some of the biggest scenes of the films were so small in this. So like the whole film of like the Desolation of Smog and the whole film of the Battle of the Five Armies, they were literally like 10% each of this book, and yet somehow they made them into a film each, which is just insane to me, but somehow it worked. Again, like I said earlier though, it is kind of more like skimmed over in this, so I can definitely see how it would be like, there'd be lots more details to pick up. I can 100% imagine like reading this book to my children when that time comes, like just sitting them down in bed and reading this book aloud as they fall asleep. I feel like that would be like, I feel like it's the best story for that to like read to a child. It's full of magic and wonder and some humour that they probably won't understand, but the actual journey of it is just like perfect. So yeah, overall really enjoyed this one. I'm very pleasantly surprised by how like easy and fun a read it was. Definitely a 4 out of 5 stars. I am however pretty nervous about starting The Fellowship of the Ring. I am going to start that today at some point and we will see how much more difficult it is to read, because I do know, like as I said before, it is written for more of an older audience than The Hobbit was. So this one could be more of high fantasy, which I have not read in a very long time. So it may take a while for my brain to like kick into gear and actually understand what's going on. I am actually tempted to try and get the audiobook and listen to the audiobook as I read and see if that makes it easier to sort of take it in and imagine it. I'm thinking it'll probably be a little bit easier because I did just watch the film last week, so that might make it easier to follow along because I've got more of an idea of all the different characters and what's actually going on, I hope. But yeah, I am going to start this one later on today. However, I am just about to go for lunch with my friend. We're going to go meet at Costa, have a little cute toasty coffee catch up lunch, and then I think I'm going to stay there for like an extra hour or 2 afterwards just to get that video edited and then hopefully use Costa's internet to upload it. I'm hoping it'll be faster than my internet so that you guys actually get a video this evening. So yeah, that is the plan for today. We will see if it actually turns out, because apparently nothing is going right for me this week, but I will give you an update on my reading as soon as I have one. Just woke up and plans have changed slightly. I have realised that I am not in the mood to continue with The Lord of the Rings right now. I really do not feel the urge to pick up The Fellowship of the Ring, so I'm not going to. Apologies to those who thought this was going to be a Lord of the Rings vlog. I believed it was going to be, but I'm just not in the mood to read it, and I feel like I'm going to put myself into a slump if I force myself to read something purely because I said that a certain piece of content was going to revolve around it. So instead, I am going to read what I want to read. And I have very recently, literally like last week or so, gotten into audiobooks thanks to the help of my lovely patrons. We were on reading sprints like a week ago maybe, and I was talking about audiobooks as I often do and how I wish I could get into them, but I just always when I'm reading them completely zone out and start thinking about something else and I'm not paying attention to the story, and then 2 chapters have gone by, I suddenly zone back in and realise I have missed everything that has happened. I was saying this to my patrons, and one of my lovely patrons said that she actually has to listen to audiobooks on like 2 times speed, because if they speak faster it makes her pay more attention, and if they're speaking slower she will zone out like me. So I thought, interesting theory. perhaps I should try this out for myself. Lo and behold, I like audiobooks now. So yeah, with the help of my wonderful patrons, I have become an audiobook gal. I am currently listening to My Sister the Serial Killer by Oyinkan Braithwaite. I am 50% of the way through at the moment and I am absolutely loving it. I am listening to it on 2x speed, so it is currently saying that it should take me about an hour and a half to finish the book. It is quite a short book. I think it was like 5 hours in total, but obviously because I was originally listening to it on 1.75 times speed, and then because I got used to that I was then able to up it 2 times speed and it doesn't sound too crazy and fast. Whereas if I went from like normal speed to 2 times speed, I was like, you are literally speaking gobbledygook, I have no idea what's going on. But if you kind of like up it in increments, I feel like you get used to the speed that you're on and then you can up it and it doesn't sound too crazy. So that is the plan that I've gone with. Like I said, I'm now 50% of the way through, so I think my plan for today is to finish that. In My Sister the Serial Killer, we open with a young woman who is cleaning up a crime scene for her sister. Basically, she is mopping up blood, she is getting rid of a body while her sister sits in the corner having murdered her boyfriend. She claims that this is because he got really aggressive towards her and it was self-defense. However, we do find out that this has happened multiple times. I believe it has happened 3 times now, which is why her sister says she is now officially a serial killer, because 3 murders makes a serial killer. And we learn that each time this happens, she then phones her sister and her sister comes and helps clean up for her. Her sister is a nurse and is also a major clean freak who knows everything about every possible cleaning chemical ever, so she is really good at this. The sister that we are following is in love with a doctor at her work and she is trying to sort of impress him, and then one day her younger sister, the serial killer, comes in and works her charm on him. So obviously the sister we are following is very much trying to make sure that doesn't happen because she does not want the man that she loves to be murdered. And we're kind of going from there. That is the gist of the story. There is already quite a lot of commentary on like men's treatment of women and domestic abuse and ideas of justice and what is right and wrong, and whether what the younger sister is doing, I think she's called Ayula, what she is doing is right, if she is doing this for the right reasons, if she's just maybe got a taste for murder and is doing it now. We don't know. There's all sorts of questions of like morality, justice, right and wrong, and I'm really enjoying it. I think it's such an interesting read. It's got so much in it to unpack. So yeah, the plan is for me to finish that today. Like I said, I think it should take me about an hour and a half, so I don't know quite what I'm going to do while I'm listening to it. I could just sit here and listen to it, but I feel like I should maybe do something while I am. I don't know quite what yet. However, I may do some journaling. I did start a life journal recently that I really need to sort of like update, so I may do that while I'm listening to it. But I also know that if I'm having to write bits in that, I'm not going to be able to pay attention to what's happening in the book and we'll have to pause it, which seems a little bit counterproductive. I could play a game, I could maybe do some colouring in because I've not done that in so long and I feel like it's so therapeutic. I don't know, we shall see. But first of all, what I really need to do is shower. Guys, I have literally just finished the audiobook for My Sister the Serial Killer and I'm gonna give that one 3 out of 5 stars. I did enjoy many aspects of it. I really like the concept of following this young woman who was cleaning up crime scenes for her serial killer sister and what that would mean, and their sort of bond and how she would feel that she had to protect her. And I loved how she questioned throughout whether what she was doing was right, whether these men had actually hurt her and it was all in self-defense, or if it was just her sister getting some sort of taste for murdering men. I really enjoyed how that brought out like questions of justice and morality, what is right and wrong. But I just feel like this book had the potential to be so much more. I understand that it's more of like a character study, I guess, but I just feel like it had the potential to be so much more. I felt like if it was like a character study, it definitely wasn't my favourite of that kind. I saw someone put in their review that they felt because we were following the sister who wasn't committing the crimes, we kind of missed out on the action a bit, and I definitely agree with that. I did feel like there needed to be more in this book, like more action or just more going on. A little bit more action, a little bit less whining. It felt like it was just a lot of these two sisters moaning about one thing or another, and yes, they did have a lot to moan about, and a lot of what they were moaning about did make really good points about the society they were living in, but it just got a bit much at times. I feel like I needed more to sort of break up those sort of like monologues almost. I also felt like the ending was really sort of unsatisfying. I felt like from beginning to end, it just felt like nothing had really changed. Like we hadn't really had much development either with the characters or with like the plot itself. Like stuff had happened, but it felt like we were just back at square one with nothing really having changed. I don't know. I feel like it just wasn't for me. Other people may really enjoy this book. For me, it was just okay. Like it was good, but it was just not one I'm going to write home about. So we're going 3 out of 5 stars. So I am going to take this opportunity to end the vlog here. I hope that you've enjoyed this. Obviously it turned into something very different to what it originally supposed to have been. I just feel like if I want to mood read, I need to allow myself to mood read. So that is what I'm going to do. Sometimes I really shoot myself in the foot by trying to do these themed vlogs. I always feel like it's more of like a cohesive time if I'm doing that, but it often ends up with me not reading because I don't want to read the books that I have planned for the vlog. So I really need to learn from that. But I hope you enjoyed it nonetheless. If you did make it to the end of this video, pop the ring emoji down below for Lord of the Rings, for the fact that this was supposed to be a Lord of the Rings vlog. Just let me know that you made it to the end of this video and that you enjoyed your time here. But as always, if you did enjoy the video, please do give it a big thumbs up. Subscribe for more bookish content from me. Comment down below with any of your thoughts and feelings. I do reply to every single comment. I love you all and I will see you in my next one.